The lives of the prophets.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. When Musa passed away, the leadership was handed down to Yusha bin Nun. Yusha bin Nun, who was mentioned in Quran as a servant, a fata. إذ قال موسى لفتاه. Yusha bin Nun was a servant with Musa. Being a servant with Musa, he was close to the revelation, close to the teacher. And he was a righteous student of this teacher. So when Musa alayhi salam passed away, the leadership was handed down to Yusha bin Nun. And Yusha bin Nun is a Nabi. Yusha bin Nun is a Nabi, but he is not mentioned in the Quran. He is mentioned in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The name of Yusha bin Nun is not in Quran, but it is from hadith and it is in the Sahih hadith. Yusha bin Nun, in English, Joshua. Yusha bin Nun became the leader of the children of Israel. The children of Israel were delivered to the Holy Land and they were victorious under his leadership. This did not happen with Musa alayhi salam and it did not happen with Harun. Rather, it happened in the time of Yusha bin Nun. Musa and Harun, they passed away when Bani Israel were in the wilderness. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us a clue of the reason why this victory was delayed. The children of Israel who came out from Egypt were raised up in servitude and slavery. So they were weak. And they were not fit for victory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them stay in the wilderness for 40 years. Until all of that generation passed away. And a new generation who was raised up in freedom under the leadership and the teaching of Musa and Harun, these are the ones who were given the victory to enter Jerusalem. The ones who were raised up by Musa and Harun in a free environment. Because the environment in Egypt was not suitable to raise up a generation of victory. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, لم يبقى معه أحد ممن عبد العجل. Rasulullah says, none of the ones who worshipped the calf entered into Jerusalem. All of that old generation who worshipped the calf were dead. A new generation was raised up in the desert, in that harsh environment, under the teachings of Torah, under the hands of Musa and Harun. These are the ones who were qualified for leadership. We learn something interesting from them. There's no doubt that Musa is the greatest Nabi of Bani Israel. How come did the victory happen in the time of Yusha bin Nun? It tells us that it's not enough to have a leader. Musa is the best that Bani Israel have seen, and he is the founder of this nation. Nevertheless, victory did not happen on his hands, even though he desired it so greatly. He wanted to enter into the Holy Land. And we know how much he desired that when the angel of death came to take his soul, he hit him. And then when he knew that this is his appointed time, he said, I will die now, but oh Allah, make me die as close to Jerusalem as possible. Ramyat hajar, a throw of a stone. He said, if I cannot enter into Jerusalem alive, at least bury me as close as possible to Jerusalem. But that did not happen in the time of Musa because the generation which were with Musa did not deserve it. So now when we keep on thinking that, we're waiting for Al-Mahdi. Everyone is waiting for Al-Mahdi. It's not an issue of Al-Mahdi. If you're not ready, Al-Mahdi cannot do you anything. The generation has to be ready and prepared for victory. It's not an issue of a leader. The generation have to be ready and prepared. And that's why Bani Israel were not able to enter into Jerusalem until there was a suitable generation for victory. And these were the ones who entered with Yusha bin Nun. And we will see the miracle which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala performed for them. When you have Allah on your side, don't worry. Allah will do everything for you. Yusha bin Nun was fighting with Al-Jababira. Al-Jababira were the people who were living in Jerusalem. They were giants, powerful tyrants. Yusha bin Nun led the children of Israel in that battle. The fighting was furious. The sun was about to set. Yusha bin Nun knew that he would need more time. It's not enough for him. He cannot win except if the day is longer. If they wait for the next day, the army will regroup and attack again. So he needed more time. Yusha bin Nun pointed to the sun and said, "Anti ma'mura wa ana ma'mur." You are receiving orders and I'm receiving orders. Both of us are receiving orders from Allah. So stop. He told the sun, stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the sun stop for Yusha bin Nun. Until he finished and destroyed the enemy, then the sun started moving again. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your side, don't worry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you. It's not a matter of numbers, or weapons, or air force, or artillery, or battalions. If you have Allah with you, Allah will help you. He pointed to the sun. Stop, it stopped. And this hadith is narrated by Imam Ahmad. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, غَزَى نَبِيٌّ مِّنَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ فقال لقومه لا يتبعني رجل قد ملك بضع امرأة وهو يريد أن يبني بها ولم يبني. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, one of the Anbiya went into war and he told his army, if any one of you just got married, you did not sleep with your wife yet, and you want to, then don't come with me. And then he said, وَلَا أَحَدٌ قَدْ بَنَى بُنْيَانًا وَلَمَّا يَرْفَعْ سُقُفَهَا. And if anybody is building a house and he did not build the roof yet, then don't come with me. What is the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Yusha bin Nun, telling his people? If you got married to a woman and you did not sleep with her yet, don't come with me. If you are building a house and you did not build the roof yet, don't come with me. If you have bought some pregnant goats or pregnant camels and you're waiting for them to deliver, don't come with me. Yusha bin Nun does not want anybody to come with him if their hearts are attached with something else. If your heart is with your wife, don't come with me. If your heart is with your house, don't come with me. If your heart is with the camels and goats, don't come with me. He's not looking for numbers. He could gather a crowd and take them to war. He said, no, I don't want to. This battle needs people who have ikhlas, who have sincerity. If you're coming and doing this half-heartedly, stay home. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, فَغَزَى فَدَنَا مِنَ الْقَرْيَةِ حِينَ صَلَاةِ الْعَصْرِ أَوْ قَرِيبًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ فَقَالَ لِلشَّمْسِ أَنْتِ مَأْمُورَةٌ وَأَنَا مَأْمُورٌ اللهم احبسها علي شيئا فحبست عليه حتى فتح الله عليه. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says he fought until it was time of Asr, and then he told the sun, you are receiving orders and I'm receiving orders. Oh Allah, stop the sun. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped the sun until he achieved victory and he won. This is the story of Sayyidina Yusha bin Nun. They won and they entered into Jerusalem. And they started expanding their nation under the banner of La ilaha illallah. Time passed, few generations, maybe a few centuries, and then the enemies were regrouping and attacking again, and there was continuous jihad with Bani Israel. Under the leadership of one of their Anbiya, Bani Israel came to their Nabi, and they told him, send us a king so that we can fight under his leadership. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الْمَلَإِ مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مُوسَى إِذْ قَالُوا لِنَبِيٍّ لَهُمُ ابْعَثْ لَنَا مَلِكًا نُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ.
Have you not thought about the group of the children of Israel after the time of Musa, when they said to a prophet of theirs, appoint for us a king and we will fight in Allah's way. They came to their Nabi and they told him, we want to fight in the sake of Allah. Their Nabi was very wise.
قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا.
He said, would you then refrain from fighting if fighting was prescribed for you? He said, you're asking for fighting, but when fighting is prescribed on you, will you fight? Because it's easy to claim that you're willing to fight. And people talk, but rarely do we find anybody walking the talk. People say that we're willing to fight in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're giving out these sermons and everybody's motivated and encouraged, but then when it comes to the real situation, people back out. And the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, he said, now you're asking for fighting. What if it is prescribed on you? Will you then fight? They said, definitely.
قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا.
Why shouldn't we fight in the sake of Allah when we have been driven out of our homes and our children? They have kicked us out of our land. How come we will not fight? And we will fight in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they gave their promises and they said, we will fight in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't worry, we will fight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said,
فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ.
But when fighting was ordered for them, they turned away. All except a few of them. We should never be fooled by the claims that we hear and the talk. Bani Israel, they said, we're going to fight. Why shouldn't we fight? And we were driven out of our homes and driven out of our children. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed fighting on them, they didn't. But now it's too late to back out because the order is already revealed. They asked for a king, they asked for a leader. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided them with one. Their Nabi said,
وقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to you Talut as a king. Allah has appointed for you a king, and he is Talut. Now these people who asked to fight in the sake of Allah, they were the first ones to argue with the commandment of their Nabi. They came to the Nabi and they said, we want a leader. When they were provided with a leader, they started arguing and they said, we don't want it. They are asking for a king. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided them with a leader, and then they said, we don't want him. Why? They gave two reasons. They gave two reasons why they disagree with the appointment of Talut as king.
قالوا أنا يكون له الملك علينا ونحن أحق بالملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من المال.
Two reasons. Number one, he's not from the nobility. He's not from the noble families. Number two, he's not wealthy. These are the two reasons. How can he be a king when he does not belong to the high class? And how can he be a king when he's not wealthy? And this is the nature of Bani Israel. What they consider to be success in life is the status of which class you come from, because they always use race as an issue. Bani Israel, the Jews, it's an issue to them. We are the chosen people, we are the special people, you are the Gentiles, you are lower class. So race is important to them. And then the second issue, money. These are the criteria that they use. Race and money. And this is a disease that is in the hearts of the children of Israel al-Yahud. And it's also a disease that exists somewhat among us. We consider people to be successful according to how much money they have. What do they say? How much is he, worth? How much is he worth? So we qualify the person according to how much money he has. When you say how much the person is worth, what are you talking about? His money. He's worth $1 billion, he's worth $1 million. If he doesn't have any money, he's worth nothing. His iman doesn't matter. His salah doesn't matter. His deen doesn't matter. If he doesn't have any money, he's worth nothing. Their Nabi is teaching them that this is wrong. He told them,
قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء.
This is enough to settle the argument. Allah is the one who chose him. Don't argue. His ancestry, his ethnicity, his race doesn't matter. His wealth doesn't matter. Why? Allah has chosen him. So that could have been the end of the conversation. Allah has chosen him, period. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to teach us how to choose leaders. Therefore, the Nabi has told them 2 qualifications you should be looking for when you're looking for a leader. They gave 2 reasons why he shouldn't be a leader. Their Nabi gave them 2 reasons why he should be the leader. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has increased him amply in 2 things, knowledge and strength. The word knowledge is defined according to the job which you're appointing the leader to. Why am I saying this? Because many times whenever we say knowledge, our minds would immediately take us to fiqh. And that's not necessarily the case. If a person is going to be appointed as a military leader, then he should have lot of knowledge in fighting, in war. And that's why Rasulullah ﷺ appointed Khalid bin Walid to be the general, the Amir of the army. But it wasn't Khalid bin Walid who was appointed to be the Khalifa. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was appointed to be the Khalifa. Every position has its knowledge that is required. Jalut had the knowledge he needed for the job of leading Bani Israel in jihad. And he had strength. And again, strength is defined according to the job. It's not a matter of physical strength. You don't need to have a bodybuilder for every job. In this job, you need to be strong, physically strong. But in other types of jobs, it needs to have mental strength, or strength of will, or strength of heart. It depends on the type of job. But these are the 2 things you should look for in the leader. Knowledge and strength. زاده بسطة في العلم والجسم. Then he said, وَاللَّهُ يُؤْتِي مُلْكَهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah gives the kingdom to whomever He wills. It's not up to you. It's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون تحمله الملائكة إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين.
Allah, to strengthen their hearts, is going to appoint Jalut as a king through a ceremony. And this ceremony would be a miracle from Allah. To strengthen their hearts so that they would accept him as a leader, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to provide a miracle. Ayah. That ayah was at-tabut. At-tabut is a casket. In that casket were some of the belongings of Musa and Harun. And Bani Israel used to consider that to be barakah because it is left behind from the Anbiya. And between them and Musa are centuries, few hundreds of years. So they have been separated from Musa through a long history. What happened is the enemy was able to take hold of this. And the enemy took it away from them. This ayah, miracle that Allah is going to give them, is that this tabut, casket, will be delivered by the angels to Bani Israel. So the angels carried this casket and brought it back to Bani Israel. And in it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says is sakina, tranquility, peace for you. This belongs to the Anbiya, Allah will bring it back to you. So it's going to be sakina for you. Jalut was appointed as a king.
فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده.
When Talut set out with the army, Talut now recruited all of the men and he set out with them. Fasala. فَلَمَّا فَصَلَ طَالُوتُ بِالْجُنُودِ, meaning that he separated himself from the rest of Bani Israel. All of the children and the women and the elderly are left behind, and now Talut is with the fighters. He has the soldiers with him. As-Suddi, one of the Mufassirin, says they numbered 80,000. His army was 80,000 soldiers, men. Talut is not looking for numbers. Talut knows that what he is facing ahead needs an iron will. It needs patience. It needs strength. Therefore, he's going to take his ummah, he's going to take this army through a series of tests. He's not going to take them and fight. He's not looking for a crowd. He's looking for strong soldiers who can fight with him. Because Talut, out of his wisdom, knew that if there are any weak soldiers with us, they're going to cause us more harm than benefit. And we know that from the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the Battle of Tabuk, the munafiqeen were coming to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everyone was giving an excuse to stay behind. One of them, they were inventing excuses. One of them even came and said, "Oh Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I fear the fitna of women. I don't want to go with you and fight, because if I see women, then I would lose my mind." That is the excuse that he gave. He said, "Please let me stay here." Munafiqeen, they were coming to Rasulullah and everyone was giving an excuse. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows that they are munafiqeen and he's telling them, stay behind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ لَأَعَدُّوا لَهُ عُدَّةً. If they were serious that they wanted to fight, they would have found ways to prepare for it. But they're not serious. They don't want to fight. These excuses are fake. وَلَكِنْ كَرِهَ اللَّهُمْ بِعَاثَهُمْ فَثَبَّطَهُمْ وَقِيلَ قَعُدُوا مَعَ الْقَاعِدِينَ. Allah did not want them to go out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them stay behind. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَوْ خَرَجُوا فِيكُمْ مَا زَادُوكُمْ إِلَّا خَبَالًا. If they went out with you, they would have caused you nothing but weakness. Because when the battle starts and the screws are tightened, then they're going to fail. So instead of having a brother next to your side helping you in the battlefield, you're going to have somebody who is putting fear in your heart, telling you, let's run away. Talut did not want this quality of people to come with him. He did not want them in his army. And we know in the Battle of Hunayn, because there were many new Muslims in the army, who just, after Fatah Mecca, there were many who just became Muslim when Rasulullah ﷺ opened Mecca. That was the hugest army ever that Rasulullah ﷺ had. And one of the Sahaba looked at this army and said, لن يغلب هذا الجيش من قلة لن نغلب اليوم عن قلة. We're not going to lose because of numbers. Numbers is not going to be a factor in this war. Look at this huge number we have. It happened in the Battle of Hunayn. As soon as they received the first blow from the enemy, they were running in every direction. Talut didn't want these with him. So he's going to take them through a test. This test is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مُبْتَلِيكُمْ بِنَهَرٍ. Allah is going to test you with a river. Talut made them march in the desert. And he made them thirsty, exhausted and tired. And then when they saw water in front of their eyes, Talut said, don't drink. Thirsty, exhausted, tired. Some of them are maybe wondering that we might face death if we don't drink. Talut said, don't drink. مَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Whoever drinks does not belong to me. You cannot come with me anymore. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. And if you do not drink, then you can come with me. إِلَّا مَنْ اغْتَرَفَ غُرْفَةً بِيَدِهِ. Or if you drink one handful, then you can still come with me. So you either don't drink, or if you drink, you only drink one handful. Just one hand. And one hand cannot take much. Not two hands, one hand. I assume that it is easier not to drink rather than take one drink. Because when you take that first drink, Shaitan is going to make it taste the best sip of water that you ever had in your life. In the end, the result was 80,000 went through this admission test and only 4,000 graduated. Out of 80,000, 76,000 of them drank from the river. Only 4,000 crossed it to the other side. The rest failed from the first test. It's a test of will. Because he wants to have men with him who are willing to stand up against temptations and who are going to be patient against hardship. They're willing to stand up against the strong temptations. And in the same time, they are very patient and enduring hardship. In the end, 4,000 remained with him. When they crossed to the other side of the river and the ones who were left behind with Talut were only 4,000, then that was another test for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده.
They said, we have no way of fighting Jalut. 4,000, do you want us to fight Jalut? Look at his army. There's no way. The believers,
قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين.
the ones who are sure that they are going to meet Allah, they said, how many times has a small group defeated a larger group with the will of Allah? It's not a matter of numbers. Who are these who are speaking? The ones who are sure that they will meet Allah. So they're not thinking in terms of this dunya, but they're thinking in terms of meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The others are telling them, no, let's be real. Let's be real. 4,000 against this huge army, there's no way we can win. They're thinking in terms of the logic of this world. What they can see with their eyes. They see, I can see with my eyes a larger army, they can defeat us. They're not believing in the unseen. So now, another group failed. In the end, Talut was left with the pure, the best of the children of Israel. 314. Out of 80,000, 314 remained with Talut. The Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is narrated that they said, we were told that the number of mujahideen or fighters which were with Talut was the same number as the ones who fought in the Battle of Badr. 310, more than 310. These are the ones who remained with Talut out of 80,000. Talut took them through tests that would separate between the men and the boys. Set them aside. Take the strong on one side and the weak and the unfit on the other side. In the end he was left with 310 or 314. These 314, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them,
وَلَمَّا بَرَزُوا لِجَالُوتَ وَجُنُودِهِ قَالُوا رَبَّنَا.
And when they faced Jalut wa Junudih. Before that, Talut was taking them through tests to see how patient they are, how strong they are, how determined are they. But now, when they are facing the enemy, he is putting all of that aside. It's not your strength, it is not your patience, it is not your will. All of these are means. Now it is depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we use the means before. These means, you prepare for them before the battle. But then when you are in the battlefield, you do not depend on the means anymore. You depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lined up the army, gave them instructions and orders in the Battle of Badr, but then when it was time to fighting, what did Rasulullah do? He went on a hilltop and started making dua. Now you put your whole dependency on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At that moment, when they were facing Jalut, what did they say?
قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين.
Directing their call to Allah, oh Allah, shower us or cover us with patience. Allahu Akbar. They're not asking for patience, they're saying أفرغ علينا صبرا. Oh Allah, cover us with patience. Because you don't need a little bit of patience, you do not need a small amount, you need a lot. So they said, أفرغ علينا. أفرغ is like you have a big bucket and you're pouring it over someone. That is إفراغ. أفرغ علينا صبرا. Pour on us patience. وثبت أقدامنا. And make our feet firm. وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين, and give us victory over the non-believers. The battle started. A huge army was fighting the small army, الفئة القليلة والطالوت. Jalut was the king of the enemy. Powerful, huge, strong man with arrogance and pride. Fighting in the battlefield, asking for anyone to challenge him. Who dares to fight me? Talut said, who will go out and get rid of him? Who will eliminate Jalut? He didn't get any response. A young man, short. He was described by Wahb ibn Munabbih as a short man. Came up to Talut and said, I will. Talut saw that this is a child, so he made the announcement again. Who will go and face Jalut? Nobody responded except this young man. And for the third time, nobody came except him. Talut said, then go. This young man was armed with a slingshot. With a slingshot. But he was armed with Iman and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heart. He went up to Jalut and challenged him. Jalut said, I don't want to fight you. You are a kid. Send somebody stronger. I don't want to kill you. This young man said, but I want to kill you. And he put small pebble in his slingshot and he shot Jalut. And Jalut was dead. He eliminated the king of the enemy and the battle was over. And this young man was Dawood alayhi salam. At that time he was not a Nabi yet. He was a young fighter in the army. After that, he was the one who inherited the kingdom from Talut. And now the children of Israel are going to enter into their golden age under the leadership of Dawood alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam. But this was built on the shoulders of these 314 men who fought in that battle. Just like the Khilafah was established on the shoulders of the 300 and so who fought in the Battle of Badr. That is how you establish Khilafah. It is not by talking. You establish it by the sacrifice. And it's not an issue of numbers, but it's an issue of Iman and strength in the hearts. That is the best era that Bani Israel ever had. After that, it was their downfall. After that, it was the curse of their Anbiya on them. And it was their downfall and it was the end until they eventually were the nation whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was angry with.